Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 1313 Podcast, the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe. I'm Jacob.
I'm Jackson.
I'm Tommy.
Welcome back to all your Regs and to all you Shinies. Welcome to the podcast. This is the podcast. Please, before we begin, make sure that you're following us on all of our social media, that being Instagram, X, Twitch, and TikTok. And if you haven't already, make sure that you press that like button, leave us a comment, and hit that join button if you want to support the podcast and being in the level 1313. You get stickers, you get early access to content, all that fun stuff. It's only 99 cents. And if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the podcast, we've got Patreon, and we're doing a bunch of giveaways through Patreon all the time. But we're also doing the 13 days of Christmas right now. So we'll be doing giveaways pretty much every day leading up to Christmas to one of you lucky fellas that if you entered it via the video. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Almost Christmas,
Happy
bro.
Christmas.
I'm happy, bro.
Yeah.
Happy Christmas.
I'm hyped.
Less than 2 weeks before Christmas. Very, very exciting stuff.
Wow. Christmas. In just a week. Cannot believe this information. Wow. I said information instead of information.
Yeah, dude.
Sorry, guys.
It was cringe.
No.
How's your week, Jacob?
Fine. I'm just pretty much today I'm over being sick. I've been bedridden for the past 4 days.
Yeah, everyone I know has been getting hit with it.
I'm not
I also
sick
was
yet.
just sick over the weekend. So if I'm coughing or my voice still hasn't fully recovered, so that would be why I am not super high energy. But
I was at the dinner at this place with my parents, and I had just a lump form in the back of my throat, and I was like, oh, this ain't good. And then I just got like super raw and raspy, and the throat stuff is gone. Now I'm just kind of like nasally congested. But that ain't nothing but a thing. I can live through that. So I'm almost on the other side of the hill.
Nice.
So we good.
My funny, goofy, Oz story of the week is that as we're recording this, yesterday, I ended up getting a matching tattoo with my wife just to commemorate the marriage and whatnot.
That sounds so
It's
weird.
a single line tattoo, so it isn't anything like complex, and it probably took like 20-30 minutes for the artist to do. And we had eaten beforehand, because that's obviously important before you're doing this.
I heard about
And so
this.
we get to the place, and the lady who's going to do us is like, hey, it's going to take a little bit longer. I did a walk-in client. She passed out immediately. So we were walking around the mall for like another hour-ish. And so we got in there, and then my wife went first, and then it was my turn. I sat down in the chair to get tattooed, and I went, I'm hungry. And I was like, oh no, this isn't good. Puts the needle to my skin. I'm in pain. I was like, crap, just try to get through it. She's halfway done. I'm seeing spots. And I was like, no, everyone's going to make fun of me.
Yeah, I will.
And so I'm just like really trying to get it through. I'm like flexing my hands kind of shit. I'm pulling out my phone. I'm like trying to like read something interesting I saw in the news to see that keeps me awake. She finishes the tattoo. I go, hey, Angel, is it okay if I just stand up real quick? I get up and I slump over her. And I'm out like a light, dude. I woke up laying down in the chair because apparently
Standing up was a bad move. I don't know why you did that.
I thought it would make the blood flow up.
No, it all rushed to your head all at once.
Yeah, so G apparently had to carry me like off of Angel, and he put me back like on the chair like this, but in the process of doing so, my head was limp and I like smacked the window like in the shop.
oh my god.
And so he felt really bad about that, but I woke up and like the entire time I was out, it felt like I was in a dream and like in a roller coaster because it was like and so I woke up and I was like, what happened? And they're like, dude, like you passed out. And I was like,
Again.
so that makes 2 times I've passed out in tattoos, 3 times I've passed out in general. That was a little bit
hilarious.
funny.
I can't believe
Yeah,
that.
dude. So then when I was texting my guy about going in tomorrow for my other stuff to the tattoo, he was like, I mean, I'll let you come in at this time if you don't pass out. And I was like, come on. So, yep. Unfortunate, but I'll be fine tomorrow. I was just going to eat a
I
lot.
still don't know how you passed out.
I just didn't eat that. Like I had an egg and 2 pieces of toast. So I was like ready to go that hour, but it's because we sat around. It wasn't until like 1:30, almost 2, I got in the chair and I was like, crap, I could have eaten a lunch by now. So that was my issue, is I didn't eat a lot of like good fat foods.
Skill issue, actually.
I had gum in my pocket to help chew during it, and I couldn't find it because there's too many things in my pocket. And I was like,
You look like a crackhead just digging in
Yeah,
there.
I did look
some
like a
gum.
crackhead digging in my pocket for the gum.
I only have one tattoo, but then again, before I got it, I was at work all day, and then I ran home. I had a single hot pocket and a cup of orange juice, and I was in that chair for 3 hours, and I did fine.
See, that's what, with this one, the one that I'd have on my arm here, that took 5 hours to do. And he had a slice of pizza and a breadstick from that Sabaro's place. And I was like, let's go, I'm ready. And I took it like a champ, so I just need greasy food. That helps.
Yeah, I was super hungry before I got my tattoo.
And we walked across the street to get McDonald's.
Yeah, and then because I hadn't eaten and I didn't know about that. So I got my tattoo and I was like, oh, I'm feeling like really lightheaded, and they're like, "Oh, here's a Coke, man." And I just like took a couple sips, and I was like, "Oh, I'm good now."
Dude, yeah, like Coke or like any of those beverages like literally fixes you like instantly. It's crazy how that works.
I've almost passed out one time, and I was giving blood, and they were using it, like usually because at one point in my life I was part of this medical study to get a vaccine approved. So what would happen is I would go in, I would get a vaccine. And then I would get, a month later, I would get a placebo shot, and every time they would take my blood. So I was used to this one lady doing it every time. And they used a really thick needle, so the vial filled up really fast, whatever. So I did this for 6 months, and it's my last day of doing it. I get my final placebo, and then they're taking my blood, but it's a new lady doing it, and she's using a smaller needle. So the blood draw is like really slow. And usually I would look at it and I'd just be like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. But this day I'm like looking at it, I'm starting to feel lightheaded. So I look away and I'm just like, hey, can we be done? And she's like, I'm almost there. I'm like, okay, cool. And I was just like, I'm waiting. She's like, okay, you're done. I go, sweet. I'm sitting on this side of the bed and I go to swing my legs over here to sit forward. And apparently when I started swinging, I started to go. And everybody in the room just goes, wow! And just them doing that gave me enough of an adrenaline kick to be like, what? I'm fine. So
Nice.
I almost did. But they haven't got me yet. Not yet.
Damn.
Yeah,
the other time I passed out, I was on the floor.
That's awful.
Yeah, they pricked my thumb to take blood. The lady turned around to like go check it, and I woke up like laying on the floor with like nurses surrounding me. They're like, "Oh, you okay?" And I was like, "How'd I get here?" Slammed my head and everything, and nobody cared.
Yeah, I talked to my dad today. I'm gonna meet up with him because he is off like the rest of the year from work. So I'm gonna meet up with him, and we're gonna sketch out my 501st sleeve.
You should go.
So,
you need to get it, bro.
I need to get my tattoo for my godfather on my other shoulder first.
Why not do it all in a day?
Dude,
One artist on this arm, one artist.
that
on
is an
this arm.
expensive day. But yeah, so we have
Some Star Wars news.
we got a little bit of Star Wars news.
And rumor.
Well, just general news, I guess.
Yeah.
Hasbro laid off over 1,000 people. There were Instagram posts about this last couple days, and I saw people were like freaking out about it and blowing it way out of proportion as people do. So I did some research on it. This has been in the works. I'm getting my sources are from CNN Business, as well as like multiple other like super mega corporation like business columns.
Yeah.
So basically, it's not like as bad as people think.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,000 people losing their jobs is awful, but
20% of the Hasbro workforce.
yeah. But basically, short story is that Hasbro was expecting a dip in their toy sales as the world was coming out of COVID, because during the quarantines and everything, they experienced this super big spike in collectible sales and toy sales.
It makes sense.
And so they were expecting a huge drop throughout 2023, but they underestimated how long the dip was going to happen and how severe it was going to be. So because of that, they announced these kind of layoffs. This mass layoff is going to take place throughout 2024 into 2025. So it's not every, it's not a bunch of people losing their jobs like right before Christmas. It's going to be happening throughout a year and a half about.
Yeah.
And then they also are selling $500 million worth of like intellectual property and stuff like that. So,
well, that was the one thing that had me a little worried. So Hasbro has officially sold and like partnered rights with McFarlane for G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, and Transformers.
Well, that's just for their page punchers thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just a partnership for like one little product thing. They're not like selling off stuff.
Okay.
Well, it's not like they sold off the properties, but they are conjoining for that, and that is a contract that could be subject to be renewed after like more than just a one and done.
Yeah, it's a cash grab.
Which is what I think. I think it might be like a renewed contract, because then there's like dedicated McFarlane collectors that are going to go for this, and I think it might pull them into the Hasbro kind of umbrella of products, and I feel like it might continue a revenue stream. So I feel like it might be more than just a cash grab. That was the one thing that I thought was interesting, because it was not only a layoff of 20% of your workforce, but also taking properties that are like the Hasbro special sauce, the only like the things that Hasbro has made, which is like the products that they have created and perpetuated. That was the one thing I was like, oh, it's maybe they might be in a little bit more trouble than they're letting on, because those are like their bread and butter products.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess if it was expected anyway, because they needed to hire all these other people to fill in this mass rise of production. A lot of other companies have been doing this anyway, so that isn't a huge surprise, especially for people who were only remote workers to begin with. This was the huge surge when we initially came off COVID, that all these corporations that just had remote workers were like, okay, we're going to get rid of you because we don't need you anymore.
Right.
Because we can staff our own like in-person facilities. So
a lot of these are also like office jobs that they're getting rid of and stuff
never
too.
mind.
Yeah, it's not like they're I think their article said they're planning on eventually closing the Rhode Island office.
Oh, wow.
Altogether. So that building's going to go away by 2025.
Damn.
And they're going to liquidate all those jobs.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, those people are lumped into the 1100.
It's all going to China.
Pretty much. But
Well, no, like realistically,
I mean, yeah,
isn't that like
realistically.
the last Hasbro warehouse or like station in the U.S.?
I don't know. I know it's where one of their headquarters is.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, this does not affect Star Wars really, because Hasbro is licensed to make X amount of toys and spend X amount of money by Disney and Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
So unless Hasbro announced filed for bankruptcy, which is not the case, because the company itself is still profitable. It just wasn't as profitable as they projected for the year. So it's not, I saw like tons of comments being like, this is gonna we're gonna, Mattel and whoever else is gonna take over action figures for Star, and it's like, no.
This is what Hasbro gets for making shit 2-packs like the Battle Droid and C-3PO.
I think the biggest handle on the low sales projection, though, is I do think it's the inflating prices. Things are getting more and more expensive, and now it's like, because everything's becoming more expensive, and we're all getting paid the same as we were during COVID. So it's like people are picking their battles more about what they can buy.
You're pricing people out of the hobby.
They really are.
All the product is still on the shelf except like the super duper desirable characters. Like I've seen a Fives once in a Walmart.
I've seen a couple Fives.
Really?
I've seen Fives. I've seen Jesse. I've seen all of those clones.
I've seen the whole Bad Batch minus Tech a bunch of times at Walmart. But I mean, my point is that the figures are releasing, they're staying on shelves, so I no longer feel the urge to buy it immediately if I know it's going to be there later for me when I get the money.
Well, that's improved distribution.
Yes.
Don't misconstrue that as like they're not, selling as many. That's just them, because the ones that have been peg warming for 8 months, those are the ones that are not selling.
Yeah, exactly.
Something that's surprising, that's selling astronomically well, are the Indiana Jones figures. I don't know if it's just a bad distribution of them, but I've seen 3 cases of the new wave go through the GameStop by the movie theater, and I can't justify buying them because I told people that I wanted them for Christmas, so I don't want to like accidentally double buy them. But
don't do that. Don't be stupid.
And I also
don't buy things near Christmas, kids.
I know. So that's what I've been, which sucks because I've seen the entire wave, and it's like those are literally that's it. That's all they're doing left, and I have everything but the new wave. So I'm like, I want them, but I'm like, I keep holding off because I don't want to wait till Christmas, and then after Christmas, I'm just nuking it, and I'm buying all the ones I don't have. So, because Yeah, I've seen 3 cases go through there.
It's Temple of Doom, right? That's the last one?
No, it's Last Crusade and then
Okay,
a couple
no,
more
you're
Dial
right.
of Destiny figures. But I've seen them there. I saw 6-inch indie figures at the GameStop in the mall, and they've never had them. They've only had the 3-inch ones.
I've seen them before at the mall. I'm at the mall a lot.
And then
so.
the map room indies are all sold out at our Target. So they're selling well here.
Nice. So yeah, that's that. And then we have a fake rumor that came out of the woodwork this last week.
Rumor.
Fake
Source
news.
revealed in a dream.
It is that The Mandalorian Season 4 will be a movie.
No. See, even when my dad sent that to the chat, all I literally did was Google Mandalorian, went to news, and there was 3 articles that have been in the last day that said The Mandalorian will be or is rumored to be a movie. No major news sources cover this. I hate when this happens because one tiny little news outlet will say this and preach it like it's gospel, and then it'll blow up and you'll get these huge picture infographics by like Figure Brian or any of these other creators and be like, this is happening, look out for this in Star Wars. And it's like, no, it isn't happening at all.
Well, while this is a rumor, it is very, very likely. Extremely likely.
It's something they're debating and we know it.
Well, it's the biggest reason for it is because Disney announced that they are cutting funds towards Lucasfilm projects and Marvel projects. So they're not going to have... So, for instance, the budget per episode of She-Hulk was $25 million. We can guess that...
That was not a $25 million each sort of episode that it deserved.
It was.
Oh
so
my God.
We can estimate that $25 million is about the per episode of what we were getting for Ahsoka or for The Mandalorian. And those are 8 episodes. You do the math. It's about, what, 200 million per series. And then Indiana Jones had a $300 million budget, and I think that was before or after marketing. I don't remember. And that was a total flop. And then the Marvels came out, absolute flop. So they're having these really high-cost projects that are flopping really heavy. And then you have Godzilla -1. It is one of the highest grossing films right now internationally, being filmed being mainly sourced in Japan, but it's doing really well here in the States.
I definitely want to see that.
Had a total budget of $15 million.
Sheesh.
So, and it looks fantastic and it has a good story, but why? It's because it was a passion project and it had a lot of time to it. So I do think that we're going to see a decrease in budget towards Star Wars things and Marvel things, and I think we're going to see a longer time between them, so we're getting about the same amount of quality, just at a slower pace with a lower budget.
Which is fine anyway.
But that would push the fact that if you're leaning towards that model, I do think Mando Season 4 will end up being a movie, just because it will be cheaper, it'll be less time filming, and then more time working on post-production and more pre-production, making sure it's like a really good piece. If Disney's trying to save money, that's what I genuinely think that they're going to do.
Fair.
So, although it's a rumor, I do think it's a really, really strong rumor.
There's just no official sourcing for it. I mean, Did
you guys also see somebody drove by a studio lot in California and saw a group of snowtroopers and Chopper walking into the studio?
Thank you, Jacob. We said that we weren't going to say that last week on the show.
It was a leak.
It was a leak. We said we weren't going to talk about that on the show because we didn't want to spoil it for anybody. We literally said there's some rumors that we saw on set and we weren't going to see it.
Oh well, we don't know what it's.
Well, Jacob said it. But it is what it is.
The thing is that you don't know what it's a spoiler for. People are guessing that it's Andor, but we know that Andor. Well, that set picture was taken before the actor strike ended. So there was a certain group of people working on something, and if they were actors, they probably weren't part of the guild, so it's nobody really big name, so I'm assuming that it's not Andor. I don't think it's going to be Skeleton Crew, because I don't really think they began production yet.
Skeleton Crew also isn't during that specific age.
I know. So it's like, I don't know what
I think it's Andor.
What if it's AI? Because I just keep seeing AI photos of everything.
Dude, well, no, because that would be crazy.
Because there's a video. I saw the video of the dude. He like turns down the lot and he's filming them as they go in. So, because what you guys saw was a screenshot from the video. I saw the original video first. The video has since been deleted from the internet. It's probably on the Star Wars Leaks Reddit if you go to there. But I don't know what project it's going to be a part of. Could it be Andor? Maybe. Did you see that? I don't know if you guys talked about Andor has been delayed till 2025.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we talked about all the shows that were definitely coming in 24, and then what was officially pushed back to 25. And that was in the list.
And I don't mind if anything gets pushed back, because that just means, one, the actors are getting paid and the writers are getting paid, and two, better quality. So, especially for a show like Andor, which is
beautiful.
Masterpiece, I think, take your time. So I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I mean, that was really it that we had for stuff.
There's more and more rumors about Heir to the Empire being Dave Filoni's movie, and there's more
we'll see it when it comes. It's good right now to say Heir to the Empire stuff because people want to hear Luke, Leia, and Han in Star Wars. Somebody commented on our most recent video where we did Jacob's topic, and they were it's actually the Palpatine trilogy or whatnot, not all about the Skywalker. It isn't the Skywalker saga. It's all about Palpatine. And then I commented, from a certain point of view.
Yeah, that comment was in reference to Rey Palpatine. That's what people like to say when they like to hate.
Yeah.
But I know we talked about way before the idea with the Heir to the Empire being recasting Mark Hamill. So those are still things that are still floating around. I don't know what they're going to do. But if they're cutting funding, they're going to recast and not going to deep fake. So.
But yeah,
I feel like it's time to talk about Commander Cook's topic of the week.
Yeah, so
Commander Cook cooking up all these topics for us too.
Last night on Xbox, I asked Commander Cook what he thinks we should talk about for the podcast this week, and he said that we should list our top 5 Star Wars characters for the show this week. So that is what we're doing. So shout out to you.
Thank you, Commander Cook. We're all your favorite characters on the show.
Love you platonically.
I love you, Commander Cook, for making that Rex. I love you in the most non-creepy way possible. Yeah, we know.
But also,
we have to just glue it. That was the part that broke when.
But also, though, shame on Commander Cook, though, because he refuses to tell any of us that he loves us.
That is
even
true.
if I tell him that it's platonically.
Dude,
he won't tell me that he loves me.
That's okay.
I'll get him to say he loves me because I love him. Thank you again for the not platonically. Thank you again for the Rex that you made. If you guys haven't seen,
monster.
Check out the vlog Jackson did on my birthday because he got the customs from Your Casual Clone and Commander Cook. And they all look fantastic. I finally have the zombies. He's on my main shelf right now, but I kind of want to, because I have a main shelf where my TV is, but then I have a separate horror shelf with all my zombie troopers, and I have the pumpkin guy on there. So I think I might move him to my horror shelf and make him eat somebody.
That'd be cool.
But I have Captain Rex dead center. That Phase 1 Rex looks so cool. So if you haven't seen any of those, go check out that vlog.
Tell them what's up. All right.
Who wants to go first with their number 5?
I can go first. I got my list. All right. So,
did you? I think we should preface with 1. Did you put your list in a particular order?
Yes.
And 2, what did you base your list off of? Because I think our standards for our lists are all going to be different.
Sure. So, I mean, my list is in a very specific order. Number 1 being, that's my favorite character, ever from Star Wars.
Right.
But obviously, it's hard to make a list of your top 5 when there's so many great characters in here.
Definitely.
So, I mean, that's really how I have it going. So, my number 5 on my list is Kanan. So I think Kanan is literally one of the coolest Jedi characters to ever be in Star Wars. He would have almost matched with my other favorite Jedi character who is in my list. Okay. But for me, it's hard not to talk about Kanan as being a top goated Star Wars character.
So your number 5 is Kanan?
Yeah, my number 5 is Kanan.
All right.
What about you,
Jake?
Jake?
Next.
All right. My
Jacob
number...
fiercely typing a list?
Well, because I had to I have all the characters I like in mind, and I'm you guys are I have them in a particular order, so now I'm putting them in a particular order.
When I woke up this morning, I went, my top 5 characters are, and then I wrote them in my phone. I went back to sleep.
I wasn't expecting you to say Kanan, but I already came up in my head with what your guys' top 5s are going to be.
Damn, okay.
Yeah. Not in an order, but I already was thinking, I was I bet they're going to pick this person.
I guess
So-
we'll have to see when we're done what you thought.
My number 5 is Tech from the Bad Batch.
Ooh, okay. Tech is good. Tech is good.
Tech was my favorite Bad Batcher right when I saw him in season 7 of the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. And as the Bad Batch show went on, especially in season 2, that just solidified for me. I love that he is just a know-it-all, smart-ass. That's very much how I am when it comes to Star Wars. So I love that he is like the embodiment of myself when it comes to like being a know-it-all with lore and things like that. And I love that his character development is about learning to process emotion. Mm-hmm. And even though he was never raised to process things like grief and sadness and how to process like feelings, he learns how to do that through Omega.
Yeah.
And I like the dichotomy of the fact that he is in the body of a grown man, but in ways he has the mind of a child.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I think that and like obviously like how emotional, like every time I've watched the season 2 finale of that show, how emotional it is for me watching him die. Mm-hmm. So that for me, I think solidifies him as my number 5.
Okay. Nice. I like it. Jacob, what about you?
My number 5, I'm going to go with Kylo Ren.
Damn.
Did you see that one?
That was not on my list.
Good.
But your 5th one was a bit ambiguous for me. I couldn't really lock
Who did
that
you
one.
think it was going to be?
I didn't have an order.
So yeah, we'll go over this
So I'm going with Kylo Ren for my number 5, just because I think not only is he the strongest character within the sequel trilogy, I really liked his reverse archetype from Vader, where he started off at like really questioning what he was doing, like, am I doing the right thing? And then he just becomes more and more solidified in being evil until like the absolute last minute, where like just one big paradigm shift changes him back to the light side. I like that. I love the plot twist of him killing Han Solo in episode 7. I didn't see that coming. It was a really good draw back into the Star Wars universe, especially after going so long without any new Star Wars content. Adam Driver, amazing performer. I love him as an actor, and then just Kylo Ren is one of those characters that hold me back into Star Wars. So I'm going Kylo.
Nice.
Sweet.
So that was our number 5. Going on to number 4. Number 4, I have Obi-Wan Kenobi is my number 4 pick. So for me, Obi-Wan has always been like my favorite Jedi. I feel like growing up with Jacob, we very much related to me being the Obi-Wan and him being the Anakin. So that was always like that brotherly relationship in the movies, I feel like translated really well into real life with us. I always just connected with him the most. I thought he was the coolest Jedi that there was. Like, I mean, blue's my favorite color, so I mean, that was the big thing for the lightsaber. But also, like how he fights and how he thinks and how he's, like, emotionally intelligent as well with people. So, that was really neat. Clone Wars, he was awesome. So, not a whole lot else good things I can say about Obi-Wan. The dude is literally the GOAT.
Apparently not, since he's your number 4.
I didn't care about him that much in episode 4, though. I don't really care much for episode 4 anyway, though, so.
Fair.
When he dies, I'm like, okay. But everything else he does is cool.
Dang. Love the entire character, but his death doesn't move you.
Because I just don't care that much about the OT. It does not resonate with me.
Oh, dude, Justin from Out of the Basement is
I know,
shaking
Justin
in his
from Out of the
right
Basement
now.
and all the other Out of the Basement people we know are like, you don't care about the... No, I seriously, they're uninteresting sometimes.
I was all up in their Discord yesterday, flaming Justin. I was like, I sent a gif of a hammerhead shark, and I said, Justin be like, ooh, wow, new Cantina alien.
You're evil for that, bro. Justin is nice to us.
He got a kick out of it. He thought it was funny.
I love the O2.
5 and 6 are the best. I just don't like 4 that much.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I like 4 is great just because not only did it start off everything, but technically it started everything.
I mean, yeah, I'll acknowledge
Like VFX.
the importance of it and everything. In story,
It's in the federal movie archives for a reason, Jackson. Come on now.
But so my number 4 would have been, if when we started the podcast, it would have been my number 1. It is Thrawn.
Thrawn.
So Thrawn, for me, between like 2019 and 2020, I did a lot of Star Wars novel reading, specifically the Del Rey timeline with the current canon of books. And so I did like Master and Apprentice. I did Resistance Reborn before Rise of Skywalker came out. And so I had heard really good things about the Thrawn books, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a try. So I read the Thrawn books, loved it, immediately fell in love with it, immediately read Alliances, loved that one. Haven't worked my way through Treason because things like having a full-time job and, you know, having a house I have
But
to
you
take
can read
care
Dave
of,
Ramsey?
and
Audiobook.
But you can't read Thrawn?
I read Dave Ramsey when I was sitting at a desk doing absolutely nothing for 8 hours straight. But, you know, just lots of things in my life now. I would love to find time to finish the Thrawn books because I know they're going to be just as good as the first two. But yeah, I like that Thrawn is an anti-villain more in the books, more of a Sherlock Holmes like type beat than in Rebels where he's just a straight up villain. But I also like him just being a villain.
Yeah.
So he's a very intelligent character. He gives a lot to the story and really keeps your main characters on their toes.
Okay.
So for that reason, I really, really think Thrawn's a good number 4 for me.
For me, my number 4, I'm going with Captain Rex.
Okay. Commander?
No.
No, I'm joking.
Demoted. Specifically Phase 1. No. Captain Rex is such a integral part of the Clone Wars and my childhood growing up with Jackson. Although when I was younger, Jackson was all for Rex.
I liked Rex more.
And I liked Cody, but he liked Obi-Wan and I liked Anakin. So it's like we kind of had a flop thing going. But as I've grown older, I've especially with season 7 of the Clone Wars, I got a bigger appreciation for Captain Rex as a character. I love not only his armor design, I love his demeanor. I love how he sets himself apart from the rest. I like the fact that he's a free thinker and he's not this cosmodrome brainwashed.
Not like those older models. We're independent thinkers.
Exactly. So, Captain Rex, number 4. Good character.
Okay,
Good armor.
okay.
Phase 1 is better than Phase 2, but I digress.
Nice. So, my number 3 spot feels almost like it's a new character shill kind of moment, but I don't know. So, my number 3 is Crosshair. And
you know, he almost made my list.
really?
Yeah.
Dude, so Hunter's my favorite member of the Bad Batch in general, and I absolutely love the Bad Batch show, but there's just something about Crosshair. I've been rewatching season 2 now, and it's just like every time he shows up, it's his dark theme that plays, and I love how his character has like, it was very much set up to be like, I'm going to be evil anyway because I'm an asshole to you people. But now he's like, hold on, I don't need to be a jerk and I can actually like learn. And he's starting to learn for himself and know what's best for him just because he sees he's treated like trash by the Empire. And if he stays where he is, he's only going to be continuously treated like trash.
He's Agent Callus for real.
He is for real. I'm so him for real. No, but love his episode with Cody and even the one with Mayday from season 2. I feel like are the 2 of the most memorable episodes that we have from that entire season. But I just love the character. His Imperial armor design. Oh, chef's kiss, bro. I think that was one of the coolest armor designs for clones we have ever had. The green visor just pops out so well. I don't know. Just everything about it's amazing, dude. I love him.
So my number 3 is actually going to go to Din Djarin the Mandalorian.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason being was when I was like putting this list together, I was thinking about like characters that like mean the most to me. But further than that, I was thinking about like how important characters were to like my Star Wars experience.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it before. The Mandalorian really brought us back to Star Wars, like so deeply, that just
Return
obsession,
to tradition.
Yeah, that obsession, that infatuation with Star Wars. And because I know I've talked about it, like sitting down and just watching that episode for the very first time and like just jaw dropped at the end of it was just something that was so special. I think Din Djarin is a fantastic moral compass character for young Star Wars fans and for adults as well. He almost number 3 spot almost went to Captain Rex for me, but I gave it to Din Djarin because they're almost the same character archetype, where they stick to their morals, they stick to their beliefs, and if they're the only one in the room that believes that, then so be it. I think that he's a very noble character. He's a great hero. He's a great dad. That Din Djarin is a, in my opinion, a fantastic and a new Star Wars character too. That really is deserving of being like a main character in a number 3 spot for me.
Nice. What about you, bro?
Number 3. I don't know if you guys would have thought of this one. Han Solo.
Saw that coming.
Han Solo is definitely my number 3. I am such a fan of the reluctant hero archetype when it comes to... That's another reason why I love Mando so much. It's because he is a reluctant hero. I just love that character build, but Han Solo is one of those characters that was also a huge inspiration for me growing up. Seeing Harrison Ford not only doing Han, but also doing Indiana Jones. Back to back, having this icon in my 2 favorite things was so big for me as a kid. So growing up with that was huge. And I don't know. I like his style. I like his swag. And I like how you see him like progress from being this asshole smuggler to this asshole rebel leader. So I just like his character a lot. Harrison Ford is a huge childhood icon for me. So he's one of those characters that when I started getting back into Star Wars around the sequel trilogy and the release of Mando Season 1, I was just like, oh, Han, he's in like the back burner. But after going through rewatching the OT as well as the Heir to the Empire books, Han Solo has a really big role in those. The entire OT does. So it gave me a really big appreciation for all those characters again, but Han Solo was the one that really came to the forefront of me, like, really liking him. Also, he's in Death Troopers, which is, like, I like that, too. So, I've had a lot of Han Solo media through literature. So, Han, number 3.
Sweet. So going on to number 2 then. My number 2 spot is going to go to Fives. Now, in the infinite list of clone troopers that there are, if I had to pick one, and I'm not going to count Crosshair because he's a defect and he's a Bad Batch character. If I had to pick one, it would be Fives. I've talked about it like a million times on the show. Jacob makes fun of me and I don't care. Fives is the biggest inspiration that I have when it comes to my leadership for the military, wanting to help people understand that, you know, you're doing the things that we're told, but you have to understand that there's a moral line to that as well, and a right, like, when to say no to something too. I always thought he was really cool. I think he's the coolest of the ARC Trooper armor between Fives and Jesse. The Rishi Eel calling all the way back to Heavy from Season 1 of the Clone Wars. Pretty dope. Gonna probably get the for Heavy thing when I think about it. I am gonna do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, really loved him as a character. Umbara is my favorite arc. Well, not the all-time favorite arc I have from the Clone Wars, but it's one of my favorite arcs from the Clone Wars where he's in it. And he's like really trying to like push Rex to step up to Krell. Rex is another one of my favorite clones of all time. But again, if I had to choose one, it's gonna be Fives.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why Fives gets my number 2 spot on the list.
He also asks Anakin if his scopes are Jedi issue because they're small. So
those Jedi issue.
So that's a good one. My number 2 is going to go to Ahsoka Tano.
Okay.
And I feel like she wouldn't
see that coming.
She wouldn't have made my list at all if I haven't rewatched so much Star Wars this year, in addition to the Ahsoka show coming out. As most of you guys know that are watching, I have been taking Jen through Star Wars from beginning of the timeline. We're going to go all the way through to the end right now. We're almost at the end of season 2 of Rebels. And every time I see Ahsoka, I just adore what they do, what Dave has done with her character all throughout. Ahsoka has a special place in my heart because our whole generation got to grow up with Ahsoka as we watched Star Wars and experienced the Clone Wars. We got to grow up in it with her and kind of experience trials and tribulations and learn lessons with Ahsoka. So very much in that way, she's our generation's eyes for Star Wars, the same way that kids now have like characters like Omega. And then in addition to that, I like Ahsoka as an adult in the later stuff because she is very human and she's very relatable in that she continues to make mistakes and learn from them and deal with things like guilt, trauma, pain, sacrifice, and she still is grappling with stuff even right now as season 1 of Ahsoka has ended. So I think that altogether Ahsoka deserves the number 2 spot. Like, she just has one of the most complete stories in all of Star Wars, and because of that, I think she's extremely deserving of a number 2 spot.
Jacob's girlfriend would agree.
My number 1 and my number 2 are tied, and it's so easy for everybody to guess it. But my number 2 spot is going to Anakin / Darth Vader. I know. Who would have thought? Anakin was my favorite character growing up. Next to Han Solo, he was the GOAT. And through the Kenobi series and more of the newer Star Wars media, the bridge between Anakin and Darth Vader being separate characters is now complete, and now I view them as one. So I absolutely love his like the fallen angel story arc, back to redemption through his son over the 6-movie series. I just think it's a fantastic story. I like how Anakin is so relatable because he wants to be this infallibly good character, but he messes up bigger than anybody else and more often than anybody else. And that's such a relatable thing, because especially when you think you're headed towards this area of greatness and you have a huge fall and a step in a different direction that you did not expect, sometimes it's really hard to feel good about yourself and making those moves. But in the end, it turns out to be worth it. You'll bring balance to the Force eventually. You just might have to kill a few kids to do it. So, number 2, Anakin / Darth Vader. Love it.
Nice. So moving on to our number 1 spots now. Now, I feel like unlike you two, my number 1 spot doesn't carry a whole lot of like emotional personalness to it, I guess, if you would say, or like I'm super connected because of this deep emotional reason. Nah, my number 1's going to Jango Fett, dude.
I knew it.
When I was yay high, I thought Jango Fett was the baddest man on the screen. I was like, you're telling me that guy wears blue and silver armor and he's got a flamethrower and he beat the heck out of Obi-Wan and he looks super cool doing it? I was like, that's my guy.
He died.
I thought he was the coolest character ever. I was really disappointed that he died in Attack of the Clones in the same way that he was introduced. But for the longest time, that always like stuck with me. I think there's a picture on my door to my bedroom in this house of
Lego
Jango Fetts that I did in 3rd grade.
No, Mason Pressler drew that for you.
No, I did one and Mason did a different one. But
shouts out Mason Pressler.
shout out, homie. I know you're not watching. But what was I thinking? My love for Jango Fett really kind of steamrolled my obsession for like Mandalorians into the future. I know when I talked to Tia Sakar in person about like doing Sabine, I was just like, really what drew me the most to Sabine was Jango. Like, just because growing up I thought Mandalorians were like the coolest people ever, and you have an entire race of these people that are like warriors that stand up to Jedi, and they're bounty hunters too. And she agreed for the most part as well, and that's what made me even more excited for the Mandalorian TV show coming out. I was like, they're making a show about the group of people who I was obsessed with when I was a kid? Like, this is awesome. But yeah, although Jango Fett isn't a clone trooper, he is the archetype for it, though. Jango Fett's just the coolest possible character to me. That's why he gets the number 1. Even though I have tattoos for 5s and other clone troopers on my body, he will forever hold a special place in my heart.
It's a good one. My number 1 is going to go to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So
The GOAT!
One of the reasons for that is because of what Jackson already said about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that is kind of like, ever since like Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, ever since I can remember, I did also always favor Obi-Wan over Anakin. I thought that he was cooler of the two. I really loved the way his lightsaber hilt looked, and again, that blue lightsaber was super cool. And obviously, part of it being an older brother, I obviously am going to also gravitate more towards Obi-Wan Kenobi, because I don't know what it's like to be a younger brother. So
He does.
Specifically,
I wonder
though,
if that's why we think like how we think.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But also on top of that, there's a lot of specific lessons that Obi-Wan learns that I think are really, really important life lessons for people to learn, that have really helped me in my life. One being loss. Obi-Wan loses everybody. He loses his mentor. He loses his girlfriend. He loses his
baby
apprentice.
mama.
His baby mama.
He loses everyone that he thinks is going to be important to him. And that's just... It's just really powerful because he never turns to the dark side. He never gives in to temptation. He never gives in to things. Like, I have experienced serious loss in my life in the last year, and it, Obi-Wan is a really good role model for that and a good story to tell, that you do not have to turn to the dark side as a reaction to your loss.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good lesson to learn. And again, just the fear of failing. Obi-Wan is that's a lesson that we learn in the newer stuff, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Yeah. Obi-Wan fears that he will fail Anakin, and he thinks that he did fail Anakin. Really, he did not. And that's something that he comes to terms with, is being a good teacher and fearing that he's going to fail Luke Skywalker. Stops him from reaching his true potential and training with Qui-Gon. So overall, I think Obi-Wan's a fantastic character. Another one that, like Ahsoka, we've seen a ton of his story, different stages of his life. So all in all, I think that he really holds the top spot for me as my number one Star Wars character.
Heck yeah.
Now, I know you guys are never going to guess.
What?
Which one?
Jabba the Hutt. No.
No way.
No, my number one's Thrawn. Wow, big secret.
Who knew?
Who would have known? But no, so my journey with Thrawn started with just light in Rebels, but it started more heavily when Tommy started reading the Thrawn books, and he recommended them to me. So Tommy started them, and I blasted through all 9 before he finished the first trilogy. So I started with those books. Those books have got me through... they were my distractions through my first year of college, which wasn't the greatest time of my life when I was at my previous school.
Ugu every day, bro.
Ugu.
So it was...
I'm not allowed to say that anymore.
People I wasn't a fan of, classes I wasn't a fan of, a major that I didn't like. I just felt trapped in this box, and what my escape from that box was, I would get on the one wheel. It didn't matter what time of day it was. It'd be in the middle of the night, and I'd just ride out and I'd just listen to those books. And those books in that scenario, that was my escape from what considered to feel like a little hell. So not only were they a massive escape for me, but it was also a fantastic character that has this wonderful world building that's from sources outside of Star Wars, but weaved into the canon in such an amazing way. Because Timothy Zahn is such a fantastic author. And going through the original 3 and being like, I love how this ties into the original trilogy and how it ties into Rebels, and it makes complete sense. I don't feel like there's any holes in this. And then moves to the Ascendancy, where it's a whole new set of rules. The only person you know is Thrawn, and you get to learn about the Chiss people and all of what's outside of the chaos, and what more stories can be told through the lens of Star Wars, just in another galaxy. It doesn't have to connect whatsoever to the Skywalker saga, although it does in one point. It doesn't really. So I absolutely love that. And then with the Heir to the Empire books, expanding on characters I would say I took for granted for a very long time with the original trilogy cast, fledging out those characters to be more human in my opinion, and expanding on their stories while also creating new characters like Talon Card and Mara Jade, which I am very affectionate of. And just expanding on what Star Wars can be. With the Heir to the Empire, it's cool because it's what could have been, but now what might be. It's a really good pool of inspiration to make other projects with, and it's a nice template for what the future of Star Wars may hold. And if not, it's a good pool of ideas to choose from in my own creations and things like that. And it's a fantastic book. So that's why Thrawn is my number one. Also, he's a badass.
Yeah.
Did I mention?
Pretty sure you did. The tattoo that I helped pay for your Christmas present last year, actually, bro.
Yeah. You never thought I was going to get it.
No, I didn't, because you weren't going. I was like, well, yes.
It was January. It was a month. I just got done paying for everybody's Christmas gifts, and Jackson thought I was gonna have bread on deck for tattoos. The only reason why I was able to get it is because it was like what? It was like $100 you gave me.
Yeah.
And I go in there, and the dude's like, "It'll be 500." I'm like, "I don't got that." And then the owner's like, "Wait, buddy, that's cool. Do it today. It'll be 3." I'm like, "I think I can swing that with this coupon." So yeah, no.
I think I did pretty good with guessing your guys' list.
What did you guess?
I knew 5s. I knew Obi-Wan was going to be on yours.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, anybody could have guessed 5s.
The only ones that surprised me, I think, was Crosshair.
Really?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Hunter and not Crosshair. I thought Hunter was going to make your list, and Kanan was the other one that surprised me. I 100% knew Django was going to be number 1.
Everybody
Yeah,
was gonna.
yeah,
If
yeah.
anybody's been watching the show since the beginning, you knew Django was about to be up there. I couldn't make 5s number 1 because gotta pay respect to the OG, bro.
Yeah. And
Your
then,
list was pretty easy except for Din Djarin and Ahsoka.
Yeah, I
Those were the
agree.
only ones.
And then Jacob's list, I don't know why I didn't think of Kylo Ren. That was one that I should have thought of. And then the other 4, I think I guessed beforehand. I don't know. I don't remember if I guessed Han Solo or not, but the other 3 for sure.
Yeah, I definitely
yeah.
knew Han Solo, Anakin, Thrawn were going to be on your list, like for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's a testament to me because I'm pretty consistent then.
Facts, bro. I would have kept it the same if we did this a while back. Maybe minus Crosshair was kind of
Yeah.
a wild card.
I
in my
definitely
opinion.
think because we definitely did this before or something very similar.
we
And
just talked about favorite.
We might have done
characters
top
one
3
time.
or something a long time
Yeah,
ago.
we might have.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't know. When new things come out, my list shifts a little bit, but for the most part, I think it's been pretty consistent after the prequels have settled. Because at that time, Kylo Ren was my number 1, because it was just new. But now that the new has faded, he's settled into the top 5, which is a good place to be.
Yeah. And then I just had 2 things because I know that there are people that watch our podcast that do not care for the collecting stuff. So I kind of shoved that to the end. And I know we talked Hasbro
Like how we
earlier.
used to.
Yeah. But there were just 2 releases that came out recently that I wanted to get everyone's thoughts on because I know that we were super hyped for them. And the first one being the Hot Toys Captain Rex from the Ahsoka.
W.
Getting it.
Absolute W.
100% getting it.
The Hot
dude.
Toys has absolutely murdered me in the past couple months with their releases because they had that Anakin.
Oh, kill him!
Yeah, they have.
Oh, kill him!
Because they came out with that Anakin, which I copped. And then they have Indy, John Wick, and now Phase 1 Rex, which were Thrawn and Phase 1 Rex were ones I was like, those are, they exist. And if I want to get them, they're going to be like $500 ones that I just have to save up for, but whatever. So now they actually exist. So I'm like, okay, they're must-haves. And yeah, they just kind of threw everything out at once.
I think it's extremely clever that they made swappable armor parts to
Yes,
do Phase
dude.
1 and Phase 2 Captain Rex.
Because if it was just the head, I feel like a lot of people would have been more upset. But the swappable armor pieces is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost an entirely different suit of armor on one character. So I think it looks fantastic.
The last one that they got to make
yeah, dude.
for me to buy is a Night Trooper. I will. Oh,
They will 100% make a night trooper. It would be cool if it was Michael's trooper, though. Michael's trooper seems to be the number 1 trooper that people are making. It's him, and then the other one that has the gray markings on the tubes of the stormtrooper helmet. But I think they'll make Michael's.
Enoch would be cool too if they were to make that.
They're gonna make.
They're
an Enoch.
gonna eventually, but no. If specifically if they do the Death Trooper Night Trooper with the shattered bottom piece,
That would be cool.
McCream.
Yeah, and then the other one was that Hasbro out of nowhere, earlier this week, were like, yeah, and here's official images and a pre-order for our Black Series Super Battle Droid and C-3PO Battle Droid 2-pack.
That came out really fast.
It did for being pipelined as this will come out eventually to the next, again, we were given a day's notice. No, 2 days if you want to count the Django, because Yak posted a helmet of Django. It was it's coming basically, because somebody else had asked previously if we were going to get more Black Series and TVC before the year ended. And Yak was like, yeah. And just to get bam is crazy. I'm surprised they don't
I
tell
think
us
the
earlier.
Battle Droid's still up. He was up for a long time.
It's still got to be up. I mean, Yak did confirm that the Super Battle Droid will be a single carded release, which I will get eventually. I'm going to wait till it does that because I really, really like the C-3PO that they added, but I'm just personally not going to get it. It's not an action figure that I would like to store on my shelf because it doesn't matter that much to me. But I think it's amazing that now we have a super battle droid in the Black series.
And it looks really good. Like to the point where it looks like it's actually going to be able to stand up on its own weight. It's not going to be all wobbly and, you know, it looks like it's actually going to be able to do well for itself.
The detail on it with the rust and the sand and the dust from Geonosis is crazy.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
And so I think the first repack of this that we're going to see is going to be really soon. I think it's going to be in the Game and Greats for Jedi Survivor. If we're going to get one soon, I think they're going to do that before they just do a
clean one.
That would
clean
be an
one.
idea.
Or they might just redo this figure and single card it with the exact same paint apps.
I don't care if they do that.
I think that's
all I could want.
I think
want
that's the
nice
main
weathered droid.
I think that's the main reason why it's still not sold out is because it's in the 2-pack, because it was like one of the highest demanded figures out of the Black series.
Yeah, well, I can share you that. Just a brief synopsis because Hasbro comment sections have been absolutely
riddled with the C-3PO
imploding.
hate,
So there are people that are losing their minds because Hasbro did not include a swappable battle droid head for the C-3PO battle droid.
They never said that they were going to when they announced it.
They never did.
Like,
and
people
I don't
act like this is brand spanking new. Hasbro never said they were doing this.
Well, and I don't know if you've ever
they were.
I don't know if you've ever seen a Black Series battle droid. I don't trust
Hasbro hates their customers.
I don't trust that these would not break if you tried to swap the heads. I feel like the necks would just break, like because they're so.
It's very thin. I know exactly. What you
also,
mean.
the battle droid has that weird head where it comes out, so it's like not
so
like
you
a
can like
swappable
do
thing.
the foldy thing where he folds back into droid mode. But yeah, that wouldn't work for C-3PO because that's a head that you have to attach on definitely, or else it will fall off.
Yeah, and it's
kind
just
of a thing.
It's all the comments are people saying that they're gonna pass because Hasbro, evil Hasbro, put a $50 paywall behind the Super Battle Droid, when really it's just Hasbro's a company. They know people want the Super Battle Droid, so they're putting it in a 2-pack before they put it in a single pack.
Because they want you to buy it before they single card it, like what they did with Star Killer.
And they're putting it with a character that's not going to sell by itself, and that C-3PO droid would not sell by itself very well.
Maybe if all you stingy people didn't wait for it to go to Ollie's, those 1,000 employees at Hasbro would still have a job.
You know what? Jacob's got a point. Jacob cooked on that one.
There's too many people now that are of this idea and culture of I'll get it at Ollie's, I'll get it at Ross. It's I know that eventually like crappy figures will go cheap, but now this figure you begged and you pleaded for, buy it. Show up and show your support, because if they go out on a limb to make a weird character that
what he almost said.
I know. If you make a weird character that isn't a main character, they went out of their way to make this droid for you, and then you just don't buy it. How likely are they going to listen to you the next time you want something? They're not going to be. Show up with your wallet if this is actually something that you want. Don't come crying. Get one of this so you can get a C-3PO as well, and then when they single card it, go crazy and buy as many of those as you want.
I was talking to some people that we're friends with online today, and I Skywalker Hendricks and I were sharing the sentiment that like I'm just like growing really tired of wanting to be excited about an action figure, because it's literally an action figure, and being like, oh wow, that's cool, and the entire conversation has to be controlled by a very vocal, very angry minority of collectors that only want to point out and discuss the thing that they don't like about it or what they think would have been done better. It's like no different than when a new Star Wars episode of a TV show comes out and everyone says, well, they should have done this, they should have done that. Okay, well, that's not what they did, so you're just going to have to be okay with what came out. There's this complaint with this pack. There was the mislabeling of the name, quote unquote, on the Clone 2-pack. There was the people complaining that there was a Mace Windu in the Clones of the Republic pack because I want a troop build, blah, 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 blah. It's like,
they are giving us what we have asked for.
Yeah.
They are finally, they have shown that they have listened, and they are tailoring what they are giving to us. But when they're doing it, they're also it makes sense. They're giving us what we want, but they're adding a little bit extra to it so they can make a little bit more.
It's no different, like Skywalker Hendricks and I were saying, like, I just want to share my excitement with other people, and I don't want to have this tired conversation every single time that I just want to, like, share my excitement about the hobby. Now, if something is like actually wrong, like if like say like they get the color of something wrong, there's nothing wrong with pointing it out. Like like blah blah blah. Like that's not correct. But
They gave Qui-Gon Jinn Jabba the Hutt's face. That's incorrect.
yeah, but like when you or the mislabeling of the clone trooper. Yeah, it's technically it's not a lieutenant. It's a 501st Phase 1. And then that should be the end of the conversation. I feel like it doesn't need to be this huge thing that we need to bring up over and over.
Deal breaker.
So the battle droid head thing, the battle droid head thing is just that's why it's still up for pre-orders because so many people outraged about it.
Thank you, Hasbro, for the battle droid.
I love it.
Thank you for
and
the battle
I can't
droid.
wait to get it.
And thank you for the C-3PO, because now I can make him point at people and say, "Die, Jedi dogs."
And now I can watch Commander Cook do the gangsta gun picture with the C-3PO. But
great.
so that's all. That's pretty much all we got for this week on the show.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
No.
Yeah, stay tuned for the 13 days of Christmas leading up to Christmas.
Yes.
It's really excited. We're doing the drawing every single day, making the post, letting people know that they won. So it's been exciting so far to kind of reveal to people. So yeah.
But thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the 1313 podcast. Please, if you haven't already, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that join button, hit that bell icon. Follow us on all of our social media, that being Instagram, X, Twitch, and TikTok. And support us on Patreon for giveaways and to make us feel loved. Thank you. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
On the 13th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me.
A
You get a
bomb.
C-3PO in your battle droid 2-pack.
Hey, this is Vanessa Marshall. I play Hera Syndulla on Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to the 1313 podcast.